Ember unfair build. If it works on unfair, it will work on all other difficulties as well. So what is Ember? Ember can be played in a lot of different ways. Okay, she belongs to a new class, Witch, and this is a subclass called Stigmatized Witch. How can you play Ember? You can play her with electricity damage, focused Ember, necro Ember, fire Ember. Okay, so 3 different ways. You can also focus a lot on hexes, witch hexes. But I'm gonna cover a fire Ember here. If you like to play different, alright, you just switch where it says fire for some other type of elemental damage, and you're gonna switch spells that deal that type of elemental damage. It's very simple, to be honest. The most important thing is that we get those feats right for Ember to work properly. Here, you can check stats for Ember, very low stats, including armor, saves, attack, damage, but she doesn't need all of that, she's a freaking caster. As far as skills go, the most important one is by far use Magic Device and Persuasion. After that, you can go with Knowledge Arcana and Lore Religion. Alright, stick with those 4 and you're good to go. So let's check Ember's inventory. Everything that I said for Nenio or for Diran in my builds can be applied on Ember. Exactly the same. Okay, what switch? We need to switch items, okay? If you play, for example, a fire-based Nenio, then you'll want Robe of Fire. If you plan to play with acid, okay, and you go with acid, poison, feats, then you want Earth Unleashed as a ring, alright? If you play as fire, you're gonna want a red salamander for a ring. And then you want a ring that complements the DC of spells, spell penetration, anything that will boost the school you are proficient in. So, I'm gonna cover Fire Ember, because I got items for that, alright, and it's already prepared. But, when you, and if you like to switch, all that changes are basically spells and gear with different descriptions. Necromancy gear, necromancy feats. Fire gear, fire feats. Acid gear, acid poison feats. Okay. They remain the same, all you switch is the color. That's it. For the helmet, headband of mental perfection, +4, +6, +8, it doesn't matter, stick with it. The most important stat on Ember is charisma. Early on in the game, you want +2, +4 helmet with charisma. For amulet, any amulet with armor class from +1 to +6, and of course, if you can find amulets for a specific school you're proficient in, necromancy, poison, or fire, depends how, or even lightning, depends how you wanna play Ember, you're gonna equip that amulet. If you plan to use the spell magic, goggles of pure sight are very good because you can use the spell magic with Ember. I really believe there are no better goggles for Ember than this one of pure sight. For armor, all haramakis are good, robes of fire, or if you go with cold, of lightning, of poison, and so on, okay? The same applies for under armor, alright? Anything is gonna give something towards spells, DC, spell penetration, you equip that one. For cape, it's pretty much classic, okay? Any cape that boosts spell penetration, DC, you should equip, and if not, then you go with classic from +1 to +5 on all saving throws. For belt, basically there are no good belts for a caster in the game, so the best option is to go with classic physical perfection belts, +4, +6. If you plan to play Ember with fire, then Malender's Insult is the way to go. I already explained how rings work, it really depends on a build, alright? You search for rings that will boost the feats that you are proficient in. For gloves, star embroidered gloves are very cool, okay? They offer the most. For bracers, classic bracers with plus armor. If you don't use Haramaki, this is the way to go. For boots, the only valid option that I've seen for Ember would be Magical Whirl Boot. For the staff, Plague of Madness, okay, because of the Empower and Maximize. I think it's Maximize. Because of Empower and Maximize, there is no better staff. Maybe some of the staffs that I was using with Diran, okay, like Ashmaker if you go with Fire Ember. But basically this is the best option throughout the biggest part of the game. As far as quick slots go, you need one Quicken Meta Magic Rod, and you will need one Greater Empower Meta Magic Rod. Now let's go to Nenio's Mythic Path. Alright, the first one that you're gonna grab is Abundant Casting if you know what you're doing. If not, then it's gonna be Less Stand. The second one is Cool Mastery on the spells you want to play with. If you wanna play with, I don't know, Acid, Clashing Rocks and so on, it's gonna be Conjuration. If you wanna play with bursting spells, fire, lightning, electricity, then it's gonna be Evocation. Alright. For the third one, Improved Abundant. For the fourth one, of course, it's Spell Penetration Mythic. Now, Ascended Element. As I said, you play with Acid, it's gonna be Acid, Poison. You play with Electricity, it's gonna be Ascended Element, Electricity. You play with Fire, it's gonna be Fire. Spell Focus, Mythic, Evocation, if you plan to play with Evocation spells. If not, then it's Conjuration. If not, then it's Necromancy. It depends on the style you wanna play your Ember. I already said Less Stand, Abundant Casting. It all depends on the player, which one you like, but you will need Less Stand no matter when. For number 8, Expanded Arsenal, Magic School, Conjuration. Okay, now we learn how to use Conjuration and Necromancy at the same time. Alright, so she's gonna be proficient in everything. In Evocation, in Conjuration, in Necromancy. It's your choice in what order you wanna learn these. At the end, we have Greater Abundant Casting for more spells. Feats. I kept her as a Stigmatized Witch till the very end, so let's see what to do first with classic feats. She comes with a point blank shot and with a precise shot. After that you start leveling her up. So the first one we take is Spell Pen. The next one is Spell Focus on a school you wanna use. If you want to play her as Necro, you pick Necromancy. Okay, I picked her as Evocation because I like Evocation spells. The next one is Greater Spell Focus, Evocation, or Greater Spell Focus, Necromancy. The next one is Greater Spell Penetration, that's a no-brainer. Now, Elemental Focus, if you plan to go Evocation Fire, then it's this one. If you plan to go with Evocation Lightning, okay, Electricity, then it's Electricity here, and so on. Then we take Greater Elemental Focus, we can take Arcane Focus for the next one, and after that it's Iron Will. The only thing from Team Feats that she needs is Shake It Off, okay, and we can switch Iron Will for Shake It Off, or we can switch Arcane Focus for Shake It Off. Now let's see these curses, what we take for Ember. The first one is Slumber, the next one is Vulnerability, the next one is Protective Lock, the next one is Evil Eye, then it's Aura of Purity, then it's Restless Slumber, then it's a Ward, then it's Fortune, then it's Regenerated Sinew, then it's a Life Giver, and at the end it's a Death Curse. That's everything for Ember. Very simple, very straightforward. The most complicated thing is to pick the right spells. So I will show you her advanced stats over here, and off we go to Spellbook. Spellbook, from cantrips, Divine Zap, Dismissal is the most important here. Of course, Guidance too, at the early game. From level 1, the best option would be Sleep and Burning Hands. From level 2, Bone Shaker, Burning Arc, See Invisibility, Glitter Dust, and of course Web. All of that is a must. From level 3, it's Fireball, it's Spiked Pet, it's Delay Poison Communal, and it's Heroism as the most important one. If you play on Unfair, Deep Slumber won't work that well, but on easier difficulties, this would be the most important skill. Level 4 spells, we will want Stone Skin, we will want Volcanic Storm if it's fire, or if you go Evocation Cold into feats, then it's Ice Storm, okay, and other ice spells that you can also learn along the way, alright. Controlled Fireball is, of course, if you go with fire. Confusion is very nice for easier difficulties, not for unfair though. And Acid Pit, of course. That ward, if you don't have anyone else to cast that ward during Act 2, you need to do it with Ember. From level 5, basically Cave Fangs is the most broken, and that goes now if you decide to play with this type of ring, alright? Mind Fog is also very good, but that's enchantment. Fire Snake, again, if you play as a Fire Ember, Evocation into Elemental Focus Fire, this is the best one to take. Break Enchantment is a good utility for level 5. Level 6, Dispel Magic Greater, absolutely a must, okay? For harder difficulties, for easier difficulties, you go with Hellfire Ray and with Heroism Greater. Make sure when you use Hellfire Ray to have high dexterity on Ember, if you're gonna play with rays, of course, and to go with a point blank, so you can actually hit. For level 7, if no one can cast through Seeing Communal, then you do it with Ember. But all of these utility spells, Legendary Proportions, through Seeing, they can be covered by Nini or Diran, alright? So if you plan to have a lot of casters in your team, including Ember, then all you want to opt in for Ember is damage dealing, necro, or evocation spells, and you're gonna learn those, alright? Like Umbral Strike, like Hellfire Ray, like Firestorm, and so on. For level 8, Rift of Ruin is absolutely the best one that you can take. Soul River is great for Necromancy build on Ember, and Mind Blank, of course, but you're gonna receive Mind Blank here, Communal, which is way much better than that one. And if you decide and you opt in for Conjuration, Clashing Rocks is extremely good, alright? Storm of Burning Righteousness is absolutely crazy good, alright? And that's why I took Ember as a Fire Witch, Fire Mage, color however you like, it doesn't matter. This is the one that I'm going for, okay? Only because of that spell. I believe that's why she's best as an evocation fire damage dealer with all fire items equipped, because this thing is absolutely broken. Broken. Advanced version of Firestorm. Like, it ain't real, okay? Especially when you equip Diran's, this one, Melander's Insult. Like, I got no words for it, okay? That's why my entire build for Ember is focused like this. You're not wrong if you wanna go with Necromancy, with Acid, with Poison, with Conjuration for Clashing Rocks. It depends what you like, it depends on the difficulty you play with. I believe for Unfair, this spell is absolutely great. Storm of Burning Righteousness. The rest of the spells, Classic Foresight, Raise Armor Class, Fiery Body, Polar Midnight, and of course Mind Blank Communal, entire buff for your entire team. I will cover all of the abilities now. Pause where you need to and let's go. This comes from Inquisitor Immunities. Basically all of her hexes are here now. Beats, not so many. And this comes from a racial Elven. How to play Ember. Ember is very weak during Act 1, a bit stronger during Act 2, starts scaling up during Act 3, she becomes completely insane from Act 4 and onwards. She might be the strongest in terms of AoE damage, and all of that goes only towards this thing that's absolutely broken. Okay, now, how do we play her? We want to cast hexes, tons of hexes on enemies, okay, from the start, or you wanna cast Protective Luck on your allies early on, and so on. From level 1, you can scream in enemies' ears, you can burn them, If you decide to go for Necromancy, there are good damage dealing spells for Necromancy, okay, like Bone Shaker, Classic Fire, Burning Arc, Scorching Ray, Web to disable enemies, and See Invisibility, so you can hit flat-footed armor class on enemies. From level 3, buff all your allies with Heroism, alright, make those traps with Spiked Pit, and when you encounter the Scaries, a must would be delay Poison Communal for your entire team. Fireball, you can open up fights with that. From level 4, because there's gonna be a lot of enemies during Act 1, during Act 2 with negative level, that ward will stop that. You can open up also with Controlled Fireball, you're gonna give Stone Skin to your tanks so they remain alive longer. If you opted in for Fire, it's Volcanic Storm, opted in for Ice, Ice Storm, and so on. Of course, you're also gonna receive Acid Pits for more control. From level 5, best control would be Cave Fangs. Your damage dealing spell would be Fire Snake. If you decide to play with Rays, Hellfire Ray, absolutely great. Greater Heroism, of course, on all party members, it's a must before entering combat. And Dispel Magic Greater, there is no playing without it on Unfair. If you went with Necro, it should be Umbral Strike. If you went with Fire, instead of a Hellfire Ray this time, I believe that Firestorm is the best option, okay. Legendary Proportions, of course, no brain, cast on all team members, do not worry about Dino Bones, there are plenty in the game now. And of course, through Seeing Communal if no one else is able to cast it. Level 8 is basically the weakest level, and you're gonna use Rift of Ruin and Soul River a lot from this part. And level 9 now, Mind Blade Communal, cast on the entire party before entering combat. Cast that armor class up with Foresight. Open up with Storm of Burning Righteousness. This is devastating, okay? When you trigger, it's devastating. All you need to do is turn on Greater Empower, cast once, surprise round, pause, cast it again with Empower during surprise round. Entire screen is covered, that's a lot of damage, and I mean it. After you cast it once more, you switch to Quicken, and in less than 3 seconds, you're gonna nuke enemies to the last quarter of their health. So in 3 seconds only. Then you can use whatever the hell you like from spells, alright? But that's how you should open. Now some final notes. Ember, she is tricky, okay, because there are a lot of different builds for Ember. Necro Ember, Fire Ember, Ice Ember, Poison Ember, Buffer Ember, Curses, Hexes Ember. You can play her in like 7 or 8 different ways. That's a lot. I covered one way. You're not wrong if you wanna go with cursing enemies, okay, disabling them, but then you need good team to complement that. I gave you here an option with Ember that's gonna burst enemies, that's gonna nuke enemies with small amount of buffs, because I believe there are better buffers, to be honest, from your companions than Ember. And that's why I opted in for flat damage, AoE, single target, everything is covered.